Ka tira tēnā rā tātou katoa, e hui nei I runga I te karamo tēnei kaupapa kei o tātou nei aroaro, tēnei rā ka mihi atu ki a koutou. Ana ko te reo mihi tēnei mai te kauni hiro kirikiri roa ki a tātou. Hoi anō ki te whai ngā tikanga me tūwhera I tā tātou rangi, ki te karakia, ki o pai haere a tātou nei mahi mo tēnei rā. Hoi anō, kei noi tātou. E pai tamatua nei rā mātou e whakamoimiti, whakawhetai atu ki a koe I tēnei rangi, ki a tō mai, tō ringa heimanaki a mātou I roto I tō mātou haere, I roto I tēnei taone nui, ana ko kirikiri roa. Nō reire e pai tamatua ki a māhoki nei, ngā kōrero a tēnā, ki a mōhiotia ngā tangata he aha te aha, I roto I tēnei whare. Nō reire e pai tamatua, te akina mai a mātou a wairua, a tīnano hoki, I roto I te ngua tapu o tautama I Kreiti. Āmene.
Kia ora. Kia ora tātou, ko Dewa Te Waka, ko te mātau o Māui Te Mauna, ko te mata te manga, no Aherere Ahau, no Ngāti Pākehā Te Iwi, ko te tūmu whakarere Ahau I te Konihera o Kirakira, ko Richard Briggs tuku inawa, tēnā koutou katoa. I'm Richard Briggs, I'm the Chief Executive of Hamilton City Council. I have the privilege of working for 170,000 people in the city. I have the privilege for working for 1,100 really awesome staff members. I see my job very much as a privilege. I'm here at the behest of council, who ultimately make all the decisions. So the unfortunate part, should you be successful as getting elected, you will be my boss, which yeah, I'm trying to work out whether I'm a pain or not, but they seem to struggle at times in terms of their relationship with me, mainly because there's 13 of them and it's hard to try to get 13 individuals to agree one direction for one person. It's a struggle, but it's how the process works. This year we've tried to shake things up a little bit different for the elections. We really want to encourage as many people with diverse views and backgrounds to stand as possible. We want people to be as informed as possible. We want as many people in the community within Hamilton City to vote. I have a very strong view that we want to have a democratic elected wing. And in doing so, we've started an approach where we're trying to not necessarily stir the pot. I've been accused of being political. Not at all. Our pre-election report was put out to the community and to you flying candidates to encourage and be as provocative as possible to encourage the right level of debate on the right topics. It doesn't necessarily mean they're all the issues, right? But the legislation requires me to identify the issues as I see them and specifically says to encourage debate amongst the community and potential candidates. And we've done that. We've got some huge challenges ahead of us. And we are a fast-growing city. Some people are going to talk about a bit more of the metrics later. We're a fast-growing city. We're a city where we have to invest to continue to grow. We're going to grow regardless. We can't say no to development. But we can choose how we decide to actually embrace that growth, and those discussions are the discussions that you will have if you're successful as being an elected member. We are big on doing things differently in Hamilton. Some of our challenges are how do we grow the city without actually burdening existing ratepayers? How do we grow the city when a big part of that growth is actually economic generation for a broader region which we don't get a cut from? How do we meet the challenges of a greater level of expectation from the community? You know, it's not uncommon now for generations to have their say electronically. Do you really need, I mean, I know there's probably a few of you that are going to run your entire campaign through social media and so forth. There's very few signs on the street, but the community has greater expectations about what we want as well. They want a greater say. They want to be able to say, and the expectation is they want to be able to influence more directly. So part of the challenges we have as a city is how do we engage with our community? How do we bring our community forward and actually hear their voice in a way that's actually truly representative within that council chamber? Yeah, so the challenges we have are awesome challenges to have, but they're involving people, which makes them a little bit more difficult to meet everyone's expectations. How, as elected members, will you meet those challenges? We've got a huge capital program, which comes with huge debt. What are your views? The pre-election report challenged you to actually have a view. If you want to keep rates down, what are you going to offset that against? There's consequences. We work in an ecosystem. It's in a closed ecosystem for the most part. If you move something over there, it impacts something over here. So a big challenge we've got is how do we make that connection? And so what I've challenged in the pre-election report, and I'll continue to challenge, is no policies are off the table, right? But what I'm encouraging you guys to do is, if when you're running your campaigns, is make sure you understand the consequences of your decisions. And those consequences are what will engage the community, because they know. The community knows that money doesn't grow on trees. They hope it does. They know that even though when they turn the tap on, the magic water comes out, and they know that it comes from somewhere. So the challenge we're putting out to the community and to you candidates is how do we best balance the expectations of that community? But it's great fun. I don't know if you guys actually are looking at this as a fun opportunity. It is great fun actually engaging with the community and trying to work out what they're doing. We're doing some great stuff. Our Neighbourly series has been well received. We actually are starting to listen. We've got to go to our smart space this morning, which is all about how we drive innovation and change the way we engage, not only with the community, with our suppliers, and nationally, to actually generate better outcomes for the Hamilton community. We have, as an organisation, a purpose of improving the wellbeing of Hamiltonians. We do everything we can, and every day we focus from a culture perspective, making sure our decisions improve the broader wellbeing of Hamiltonians. That's our credo, that's our noble cause. And we've adopted some community outcomes which are around embracing growth, building a great river city, and being business in business. And they're all about how we can, I'm going to get told off for moving very soon. There's a camera focused on me. It's all about how we can drive better outcomes. Going back to again, I'll put out 5 challenges in that pre-election report. That doesn't mean they're the only challenges. There's numerous challenges, but they can be categorised in that area. I'm not trying to stifle debate. I'm in fact trying to encourage debate. This session this morning on the bus is a way of doing that. We are looking at other ways we can work with candidates and the community to provide other opportunities for debate and discussion as well. I've got a great team. I've got Dale, who's our electoral officer, who's going to jump up very soon because I'm about to run out of time. Becca from our governance team, we've got Natalie from our comms team, we've got some general managers in the room. There are a number of people who are going to be joining us on the bus. So you can ask us questions as you go through. This is being videoed because some candidates couldn't make today, and so what we're going to do is make it available online, and it'll be publicly available as well, because ultimately anything we do within local government, unless it's commercially sensitive, is public information. So we go forward and take it from a public perspective as a starting point. Cool, I'm going to hand over to Dale.
Dale Ofsosky's my name. I'm the electoral officer for Hamilton City Council. So I've got a bit of the boring session in today's program, which is really the nuts and bolts about standing as a candidate for Hamilton City. So up there, just some background information. Hamilton City Council, 106,000 electors as at a few days, at the end of July. 170,000 population as of 2018. Election day, Saturday 12th of October, we'll all be familiar with that. That is a legislative date. It's the second Saturday in October every 3 years, so there's certainty there. Elections will continue to be held by postal vote. We did, you may be aware, try for online voting as an option. That wasn't successful again for the second time, so we're hoping we'll try again for the third time in 2022. So for these elections, postal voting, and there will be an opportunity, of course, to hand-deliver votes as well. First past the post electoral system will be used again for these elections, and the random order of candidate names will be used again. So you may be aware that councils have an opportunity to choose the order of candidate names between alphabetical, pseudo-random and random, and every 3 years council has that opportunity, and it's confirmed that it wants to continue with a random order. So on to some key dates. Nominations have opened. In fact, they close next Friday, 16th of August. Voting documents will be posted out between the 20th and the 25th of September. Election day, 12th of October. Preliminary results in the morning of the 13th of October. Final results on the 17th of October, and the public notice declaring the results on the 21st, and members take office on the 22nd. The last date there is really just, it is important for candidates. It's the return of your election expenses return. I'll talk a little bit more about that later, but that's the 13th of December, and that is a legislative time frame as well. So who are we electing? So Hamilton City Council has the Mayor, elected at large. There's 12 councillors elected from 2 wards, East Ward and West Ward, electing 6 each. Waikato Regional Council, we have the Hamilton general constituency of 4 and the Maori constituency of 1. So if you're on the Maori roll, you'll get to vote for the Maori constituency, on the general parliamentary roll for the general constituency for the regional council. Just to note, you'll be aware that there's no Waikato DHB election this time round, so there'll be one less election on the voting document this time round. Electoral system, first past the post, been around for a long time, vote by ticking candidate names up to the number of vacancies, so there's 6 vacancies, so you can vote for up to 6. Members, you can vote for less if you wish to. Candidates with the highest number of votes are elected, and this is used for both the Hamilton City and the Waikato Regional Council elections. Electoral roll, really need something up here, don't you, rather than turning around. Bear with me, please. Electoral roll, many of you may or may not realise that there are actually 2 electoral rolls. There's the resident electoral roll and the non-resident ratepayer electoral roll. So looking at the first one, the resident electoral roll, just over 106,000 electors. Interesting statistic there that I just researched, up 6.2% from 3 years ago, so it certainly is a growth city. So we have a good number of electors there. It's compiled and maintained by the Electoral Commission. So when you, it's a common enrolment, so when someone turns 18, they enrol on the parliamentary roll, and we get an extract from that data which we can use for local elections. Electoral Commission really do a good job. They're out in the community, they're in the schools, they're at events to encourage everyone to enrol and make sure your details are correct. Would have got a letter in the mail beginning of July, just checking your details just to make sure that everything's correct for our elections. So the criteria there is a New Zealand citizen or a permanent resident, and of course aged 18 years or over. The second one is a lot smaller. It's the non-resident ratepayer electoral roll, only 161 in 2016 as compared to the 106,000. So in relation, very small. Probably it needs another 0 or a couple of zeros on the end of that. But this is really for your non-resident ratepayers. So it's compiled and maintained by myself as the electoral officer. It is updated every 3 years. It's by application, it's not automatic. And just as an example, I've given there, if someone lives in Auckland, for example, but they own property in Hamilton, they can apply for the Hamilton ratepayer roll. So where they live, they get all their voting entitlements. So if they live in Auckland, they get all their voting entitlements in Auckland, but they can also actually vote for everything in Hamilton City as well because they own property here. Similarly, if you have a business here and you live outside, you might live in Waikato District, for example, and you have a business in here, you can apply to get onto that roll. So the roll is open up until the 16th of August. It's available for public inspection here at the council offices and at all libraries. And it's just during this period of time, so it's next Friday that it closes. Have a look at that, check that everything is correct. That's when you can make changes or apply to make changes to the roll. New electors can be added and that sort of thing. So this is the time to look at that roll. Once it closes off on the 16th of August, that's the data that we use, if you like, for issuing votes later on. So candidate qualifications, what do you need to do or be if you want to stand? First of all, you must be a New Zealand citizen. And you must be enrolled on the parliamentary electoral roll anywhere in New Zealand. So you don't actually have to be here in Hamilton and on the parliamentary roll. You can be in Wellington or Auckland or wherever and stand here. So it just needs to be a parliamentary elector. Candidates cannot stand for both Hamilton and the Waikato Regional Council, so you must choose. You've got to choose the city or district council or the regional council, but you can't have both. A person can stand for multiple positions, so you can actually stand for mayor and council, that's fine, no problem there. And obviously if you get elected to mayor, you take the mayoral one rather than in the next highest polling council position comes and takes that place. Just a little alert there in that last point, if you become elected, you or your spouse, if you've got contracts over $25,000 per financial year with the council, it's just an alert. It's fine to stand. If you get elected, You just need to go through a bit of a process with the Office of Auditor General, just on the managing that conflict of interest. So if you do have contracts greater than 25,000 per year, just bear that in mind. There's a lot of information on this issue on the Office of Auditor General's website if you're wanting to research that further. So nominations, as I said, they opened on the 19th of July. They're available from the Elections Office here. You can phone our office and we can post one out to you. You can download one from the Council's website. We're doing something slightly different this time around. We're doing what we're calling editable PDFs of the nominations, so you can pull it up on your screen and you can actually type in all your details. Unfortunately, you can't push submit because we cannot accept electronic nominations at this stage in legislation, but you can certainly fill it all out except for the 3 signatures that are required. So fill it all out, print it, get your nominators to sign it and yourself to sign it, and then bring it in and lodge it here physically. So that's the easiest way. We've got some nominations just in the back there if you wanted to pick one up now and take a hard copy away with you. Feel free to do so. If you are standing for more than one position, so you're wanting to stand for Mayor and Council, you do need a separate nomination for each position that you're standing for. You can't nominate yourself, so you must get 2 people in the area that you're standing in to nominate you. So if you're standing for the East Ward, you must get two electors from the East Ward that isn't yourself to nominate you. And I've also had questions, can family members nominate me? And yes, family members can nominate you as long as they're eligible electors from the area that you're standing in. So accompanying your nomination paper, you will need a $200 nomination deposit. Well, that's for each position, so if you're standing for 2, it'll be $400, so that's a deposit. 150-word candidate profile statement, that's not mandatory, it is optional, but we strongly encourage all candidates to submit their profile statement. That's the statement that goes out with the voting packs, and it's 150 words in English, and you could also have 150 words in Maori if you wish. The English and Maori must largely be consistent, so you can't have sort of 300 words of completely different messaging. When you translate English into Maori, it's often a lot more than 150 words. That's why it says largely consistent statements. You can have other languages if you so wish. You may wish to have English, Mandarin and Samoan, for example, and you may wish to have 50 words in each, but in all of those they must total 150 only, so you cannot exceed that 150 words. In that 150 words, choose your words carefully. It's a really good way of free advertising. It goes into every elector's home. So focus on what you say, on what you really want to achieve if you get elected. A lot of the times I've read some of these statements and I sort of cringe as an elector when I sort of read a lot of too much personal information that I'm not really concerned about. You know, I've got five kids, 4 dogs and 3 cats. Well, to me, I'm really interested as an elector, what are you going to achieve in my community? So use that opportunity really wisely and well. Include a recent passport-sized photograph. That's wording out of the legislation, so it's recent, it's within the last 12 months. So if you've stood before, please don't recycle one from 3 years ago or 6 years ago. It must be recent. And it's got to be a likeness of you, so no photoshopping and all that sort of stuff. I've seen it all, and I've seen people come in and I've looked at the photograph and looked at the person and I said, okay, really? So we do need them to be lifelike. Evidence of New Zealand citizenship. Now this is something new that we have introduced because one of the criteria is you must be a New Zealand citizen. We had a situation in 2016 where a candidate ticked the box that she was a citizen, not here but in another district. She was a New Zealand citizen, and in fact halfway through the term, she got elected. Halfway through the term I had an anonymous tip-off, as you do, to say you might want to check whether this person, current councillor, is a New Zealand citizen, and we approached the person, and after a number of days, at the end of the day she could not produce evidence because she was not a citizen. She had come to New Zealand when she was 2 and she automatically thought she was a citizen. So unfortunately she had to resign because she was no longer eligible, and we had quite an expensive by-election. So we're just asking now for proof of citizenship. It's really to protect everyone. It's to protect you guys, it's to protect me as well. So just a copy of a passport or your birth certificate or your citizenship certificate or something along those lines, so that we can actually see, tick the box, yes, you are a New Zealand citizen, so everyone's protected. I did mention earlier that you have a $200 nomination deposit. Most get that refunded. There's a formula. If you poll greater than 25% of the votes cast for the lowest successful candidate, you automatically get that back. Those that fall under that threshold, it gets forfeited, it goes into the council's funds to help cover the cost of the election. But as I said, probably 95% or more get that deposit refunded. Candidates, you are able to have an affiliation after your name on the voting document. So an affiliation is an endorsement by any organisation or group. So just put that in, bear that in mind. So if you do belong to an organisation or group, happy to submit that. Just make sure you have their authority. So if you're using a party or a ratepayer group or something like that, we will be checking, so it's always good to have a letter of authority attached to your nomination that I'm a member of this political group or organisation, and therefore they give us the authority to use that name. No slogans, I will not accept slogans, so slogans don't fall into an organisation or group, so don't submit vote for Dale or something like that, because that won't be accepted. It's got to be an organisation or group. You can have the word independent, so if you're wanting to make a statement, I'm independent, you can use that word as an independent.
Thank you.
You can also leave it blank. So if you choose not to have anything, you can certainly leave it blank. Okay. Also required to include a statement on principal place of residence, whether you live inside or outside the area. So that's a legal requirement now, so that goes on to the voting into that candidate profile statement, so that electors can say, yes, I live inside or I live outside of the area, and also any other positions you may be standing for. So you may stand for the mayor and the council, you can't now, but for the DHB you could have previously, that sort of thing. And that gives the electors information that this person's just standing for this position or a number of positions. So completed nominations, they can be lodged here at the elections office, at council, they can be posted to me and we can receive them. Just that second to last point, get your nominations in early. Please, 7 or 8 we've got in so far. I think it's 8 maybe. Not very many when they close next Friday. So get it in early. And there's a reason for that. We need to do checks on your nomination. And the number of times that a nomination comes in and it's wrong. And it's generally about the 2 people nominating you. They're out of the area, or they're not on the electoral roll, or there's some issue there. If you come in because you're being strategic at 11:45 on the last day, and you've got 15 minutes to lodge it, and there's a problem, you've got 15 minutes to get it fixed. So it's not a lot of time. So you've got an issue with your nomination paper, you can't go and get staff to nominate you because they will not nominate you. I've seen people running out on the square and shoulder tapping strangers saying, can you nominate me? So you don't really want to go down there. Get it in early, plenty of time to fix any problems. And they will close at Friday the 16th, next Friday at noon sharp. So there are no ifs, buts and maybes. If you come in at 11:45, you go out again to get something fixed, and you come back at 12:05, here's my nomination, it's closed. We cannot accept it. On to campaigning. So campaigning can occur any time, so you could have already commenced your campaign, and it can include election day, which is different to parliamentary elections where you can't, but with local elections, with postal voting, you can campaign on election day. Election signs, always an interesting issue around election time. So display period is 12th of July to midnight 11th of October. On residential property, 2 signs per site, and 4 signs per corner site. Ensure you have the owner's permission, please. If you're going to put signs up, a number of times I have complaints from people saying this sign suddenly appeared. You know, it's a courtesy to go and talk to the owner first to get their permission. Maximum area is 1.2 square metres for residential. Now that we've got a candidate information handbook, which is the number of copies out there, hope you pick one up before you go. with your nomination. It's got a lot of detail, everything really that you need to know if you're standing as a candidate. There's quite a lot of detailed information about the election signs and the signs bylaw, so just be aware of that so that you know the do's and don'ts. All election advertisements must show authorisation details, so just let me unpack that. So it's not an authorisation from me, it's an authorisation statement from you as the candidate. So it's authorised by Joe Bloggs, 123 Smith Street, Hamilton East, or whatever. Okay, so that's got to appear on everything. It's a legal requirement. I get a lot of tittle-tattle from candidates that so-and-so hasn't got this statement on, so the candidate has to go and fix it. So don't go printing 5,000 leaflets or something for a letterbox drop and then without that statement, because they will have to be retracted and redone, so or stamped on. So happy to peer review on a confidential basis any material that you may want to produce, but you must show that statement. So it goes on signs, notices, cards, pamphlets, flyers, web pages, vehicles, etc. But for social media, you don't need to put that statement on every post or message or tweet. It just goes on their homepage if you've got a website. And speaking of social media, great way to campaign. It really is. It's instant, it's far-reaching, and it's free. So you can promote yourself, your policies, encourage people to vote, highlight key dates, vote for me, all that sort of stuff can go on your website. Council's media channels are off limits, all right? So council must remain politically neutral. So just bear that in mind. So council will promote the process but not associate posts with any candidates whatsoever. And this is monitored. Just the next point is a little plea from me as the electoral officer. Please don't go around collecting voting documents from electors thinking that you're doing a good community service, or when you may be door knocking in your campaigning, say, oh, can I post that for you? Can I take your voting packet or voting document and post it for you? Please don't do that. Two reasons. A, it's an offence to have anyone else's voting document in your possession. And secondly, it's just a perception that you may be interfering with that voting document from receiving it off that person to putting it into the post or delivering it to me. So just get rid of that perception. Don't have it in your possession. Members of the family can help bedridden people and that sort of thing in that process, but you as candidates or candidates' assistants, my advice is just don't do that. The last one there is be mindful of election offences. That's the legislation that we have to follow, Local Electoral Act, very prescribed. So it's a lot of information in there, particularly the offences. I mean, there are common ones like treating and bribery and things like that. I've covered all the relevant offences in this booklet, so I've done the hard work for you. So have a read of that, basically the things you can and can't do. Expenditure, there is a limit to what you can spend, and there it is. There's a chart there based on population, and it is prescribed by legislation. And there's some limits there. So for the mayor, you can spend up to $60,000, and for the councillors up to $30,000. Just one comment on that one. It is your money that you're spending. I've had, after elections, candidates come to me and say, I say, well, what money? You've got your deposit back. Oh, I spent $5,000 on my campaign. When is council paying me for that? I said, well, I'm sorry, it's your money. So no funds will be made available from the council. So you can gather that money that you spend from donations and that sort of thing, and it's all set out in legislation and in the handbook. You can't add limits together, so you think, oh, I'll stand for mayor and council, therefore I can spend $90,000. That doesn't work. You take the higher of the two if you're standing for more than one. As I said, there's an electoral expenses and donation return. It's attached to the back of the nomination. It's a prescribed document. It is required. Keep a tally of everything that you spend or money that comes in from other people, donations. Keep that in a notebook. Keep all your receipts from any expenditure that you may have, so that you can complete that form after the election. It is required by the 13th of December by law. If you don't provide it by then, we do follow it up a couple of times, and then if you still don't produce it, it goes off to the police. Police then action it, which they do, surprisingly. and then we get it back straight away. So it is a legal requirement. Be careful how you fill it out, make sure it is accurate. It is available for public inspection, so anyone can look at it for 7 years. It goes on Council's website. And the people that are most interested in looking what you spend are other candidates and the media in particular. So they like to see exactly what you spent and how you spent it. Early processing, so this is over the voting period, so the votes go out. As the votes come back in over the 3-week voting period, we're able to what we call early process those votes. So we do a roll scrutiny of that, so we simply swipe the barcode of the elector, so there's no name on there of the elector, and mark that person off the roll electronically, and that means that someone can't vote twice. So if anyone thinks they're smart and they can photocopy and send me 10 votes back, it doesn't happen because their system stops if it records more than one return from a person. So we're able to open the envelopes, extract the voting documents, check for any informal or duplicate votes, and then we capture the votes electronically twice. So we do high-speed scanning, and then we have people looking at every process, so a vote doesn't go through unviewed by a human being. And then we reconcile anything. So we have 3 basic processes, so it's pretty thorough, our process, so we get an accurate result. So candidate scrutiny cannot view that process. It's a lockdown position. So we have Justice of the Peace looking at that processes and signing a certificates to say that we have done it correctly per legislation. So under that early processing over the voting period, we are unable to tally anything. So don't try and ring me up and say, come on, wink, wink, no, can you tell me am I winning or what? I don't know myself because we don't actually run any results until after the close of voting. And I just want to stress here that we may or may not be aware of the closeness of the Hamilton Mayoralty result last time round. So it was a difference of 6. So every vote does count. So it really is important, when you're campaigning, that every vote actually counts for this election. So results, voting closes on Saturday the 12th at noon. Again, no ifs, buts or maybes. Once 12 o'clock comes, that's it. No good coming back at 5 past and slipping it under the door and hoping that it will be counted. It won't happen. So we'll have a progress result soon after about 2 o'clock on election day. So that'll be about 98% of the votes counted. It will exclude any hand-delivered ones on the Saturday morning and special votes that we need the declarations to go off to the Electoral Commission to check. So we'll have the preliminary results, which will include Saturday's hand-delivery ones in the morning of Sunday the 13th. In both instances, candidates and the media will be advised. The results placed on websites, so it'll be a very public process. Final results, once we have all the declarations back from the Electoral Commission on the 17th of October, and then we put a public notice in the Waikato Times on the 21st of October, and under legislation, members take office the day after the public notice appears in the newspaper, so that will be the 22nd of October. Last slide. So some resources, Candidate Information Handbook, that one there. Make sure you get a copy, have a read of it, ask us any questions. Legislation, I've mentioned that, largely summarised in that booklet. Attend a council meeting. We've got some more council meetings before the... Yeah? One more? Tomorrow. Attend a council meeting tomorrow. Read the agenda and the minutes. They're available online. And talk to a staff member if you've got some questions. Talk to Becca sitting down the front there, she's my deputy, or myself if you've got any electoral queries. And we're doing questions now, or any questions now?
I just wanted to jump in just for a few housekeeping matters. I'm Becca, as Dale's introduced me, the Deputy Electoral Official. Pretty soon we're going to head through to the smart space over in Garden Place. There are toilets just directly out here if you wanted to stop before we head that way and then go onto the bus. There is water and snacks available on the bus if anyone needs anything. There will be an additional toilet stop halfway through as well on the bus tour. The other thing I just wanted to mention, that in addition to the candidate profile statements that Dale's mentioned, We're also this year doing profiles for candidates up on our website. And so as part of that, we'll put your 150 words, your photo, your name, and then there's also an opportunity to answer the 5 pre-election questions as well as part of your statements on there. So there's some information in the nomination packs on how you go about sorting that out with us. But if there's any questions, come and have a chat to me during the tour, or after the tour I'll be available as well. Thanks.
Hamilton City Council's Smart Space. What is that? Well, it's an opportunity for us to engage with the community about doing things differently and trying to find better ways of achieving our outcomes with a view to leveraging technology, leveraging different ways of working with the community, different engagement tools. It's about trying to seed a culture within the community, not just within council, of trying different ways of thinking. You'll all be aware that I've been challenged for the 10-year period of delivering 93 million, 96 million, or 104 million, depending on who's counting, savings over the 10-year plan. A big part of that is trying to create a culture whereby we do things differently, whether it's different ways of engaging with the community, whether it's different ways of procuring. There's some smart things out there in terms of the way you can procure, the way we collaborate with our neighbours, the way we leverage technology, the way we can use technology, different ways of engaging with the community to deliver better outcomes for the community. The theory behind the SMART program is it should effectively build into be the genetics of council. It should be the DNA. We should look at ways that we can leverage the new ways of thinking in a way that we can actually better deliver what we're talking about. And there's some great examples already that are highlighted around here, but the smart meter and the LED lighting, the Your Neighbourly sessions, where we're actually a bit of a return to the past, but leveraging different ways of collaborating with our partners. So have a quick look around. I was told to speak for 15 minutes, but I'm not going to. I'm going to speak and give up now and let you guys have a wander around and answer any questions if you've got any.